What's going on, guys? Today we've got my 1 week later review on the Honor 9A. Now, straight off the bat, I really like the colours of this phone, and all week people have been saying, oh, what's that? Because, it looks great. Some said they don't like the look of it, but in my opinion, I think, for the price, it's a great colourway, and I think great looking phone overall. That being said, in the previous video, I did say it had a metal outside, but it actually turns out it's plastic. And one of the biggest cons for me is you can't see it really on the camera because it is minuscule, but there are tiny mini scratches around the side here, so it does pick up scratches quite easily, and it picks up fingerprints extremely easily on the back. I can just put my finger on here and you can start to see the massive amount of fingerprints that it does pick up very, very easily. Design wise, I am pretty impressed with this phone for the price. You probably won't find a better looking phone for the price. In general, the phone looks great. Turning it on, the display is a little bit on the darker side, but not too dark. I mean, it's been very sunny in the UK recently, and I've been using this week, and it's been fine. Basically, I've not had any trouble seeing it. Only thing I'd say, if you compare it to, say, a higher end Huawei phone, you'll see the difference, but I mean, that's only a comparison. For everyday use, it's going to be totally fine, and I've had no trouble seeing it. So on the whole, a very good display. Now, I know it lacks some of that detail, but again, corners have to be cut when you have such a low price like this for this phone. So it has actually impressed me in terms of detail, brightness, and just overall quality of the display for the price range. So that's good in my opinion. The camera is decent as well. It's not bad, it's just not great. I wouldn't say obviously it's one of the most incredible cameras I've seen, but again, for the cost of it, you're getting a very good camera, very decent camera. You get that 30 frames 1080p recording, so crisp recording, crisp pictures, and everyday use, they'll be fine. As long as you're not an avid photographer, you'll be perfectly fine with this Honor 9A. So the camera, pretty good as well, pretty decent. The selfie camera is nice. Actually, the selfie camera is much better than I thought it was going to be. So I would say that the selfie camera is very good. The earpiece for calls as well, that's very loud. And for a single speaker, I was very impressed with that. Very crisp, as well as the microphone on the bottom. Cool volume and video quality. Has a very good microphone on the bottom. So, so far so good for the Honor 9A. It was pretty good. Early week this was. Very early on, I was saying it's actually very good for the price. I was pretty impressed. The speaker could be a little bit louder and a little bit more refined, but on the whole, much better than any other phone in this price range for a speaker. So very impressive in that field as well, speaker quality being quite high. Obviously, the biggest drawback for this phone is that lack of Google services. Now, this is no fault of the device per se. It's just happens to be a side effect of the ongoing feud between Huawei and America. Obviously, it can't have those Google mobile services preloaded onto these devices, and it has to run off HMS, and that is a massive blow for this device. It's just very difficult to get any of your everyday use apps onto it, such as your banking apps, your social media apps, and without phone clone, practically impossible. You just need to install third-party application installers, and you just don't always trust them. It would just be a lot easier if there was a Google Play Store, but doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. So that is the major drawback for this phone, is the fact that you are going to struggle a little bit to get all your apps on there. Now, it's not impossible, it just takes a bit of time, and it's not as easy as, say, a previous Huawei phone that had those GMS services on it. That being said, I was able to use a lot of these apps that came on the phone already. So I got the app gallery, and I was impressed by the vast range of apps. There was apps on there that I wasn't expecting there to be as well, so that's pretty good. And just this week I've heard in the news that Huawei have managed to gain a contract for some banking apps, so that looks good, and that's a bright future for the HMS and the app gallery itself. So hopefully soon we see some of those banking apps and other apps that you use every day migrating over to the app gallery, and then this phone will be perfect, I'd say, for the budget. However, in this current time, it's very difficult, and if you're not too technical, it's going to be very hard for you to actually get a lot of the apps you use every day over, especially if you're, an avid Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter user. It's just quite difficult to actually get them on. The best thing about this phone is definitely the battery. Now, I think I charged this once this entire week. I didn't use it massively, like I wasn't using it constantly. I obviously had my other phone I was using majority of the time, but when I was just messing about, testing this phone, testing out what it could do, I literally had to charge it once, and I only charged it just before this video, and I think it was around about 13% battery, and I've been using that for a little bit over 5 days now, so it's been perfectly fine, and the battery is ginormous. So I mean, It's pretty impressive. Not only is the battery huge, but it's very optimized, and you do actually have an optimizer pre-installed on the device, so that's very impressive, and I'd like to see that rolled out throughout every Huawei device. And this ginormous 5,000 milliamp hour battery just doesn't seem to ever run out of battery. The only drawback to the charging and battery side is the fact that the charging port is not a USB Type-C port. It's a micro USB port, which is a little bit annoying and a little bit slow. So when I did charge it earlier, it was taking quite a while to charge in comparison to some of the fast charging USB Type-C devices that we see in more modern phones generally. So we're going to move on to some gaming now, just so I can show you what this is about and just show you what gaming looks like on here. Now I have done a little bit and it's okay. It's pretty good, pretty basic. Now I wouldn't advise you to use high demanding games such as, you know, PUBG or things like that. This phone just isn't built for that. It's built for a budget smartphone, ginormous battery, and just general good use. I would not advise that you use this for gaming every day or sort of buy this device just for gaming, as it's not built for gaming at all. But I will show you a bit of gaming just so we can show you the capacity of this device itself. There's minimal lag. I know I'm not running in the highest settings possible, and possibly I'm not using the most demanding game, but Asphalt 9 is, you know, up there with one of the most demanding games there is on here. So in general, it runs pretty well. The graphics are good, the colors look good, and the display is a very good size for this type of gaming. So in general, you know, it does a very good job. It isn't laggy, and it looks in general very good and works perfectly well. So yeah, you'll see there, it works pretty well gaming in general, and there's not really any lag, and the game and the colors look pretty good. And I would say, as a general statement, the colors look great on this phone. They're deep, they're colorful, and you know, they're accurate as well. In terms of photos, the colors are generally very accurate. They're not oversaturated like you see with some phones. On the whole, a very good phone. I would say for the price, you're getting an incredible phone. You're getting a great bit of kit. However, if I'm being a little bit harsh, there are some drawbacks in the terms of the lack of Google services and the lack of those sort of apps that you would use generally. They're quite difficult to get on. I mean, there are ways of doing it. It's just a little bit harder than, you know, just going on the Play Store and installing them. That is the major drawback for me, is the fact that it's difficult to get your apps on that you would use every day. And I'm just not sure if I could convert fully to using this phone if I needed to use my banking apps and things like that every day. I just probably wouldn't be able to run using this. However, if you're willing to give it a go and try without it, and you don't think you need all those apps, then, you know, by any means, this is the best phone out there in this budget. It's 100% the best phone in that price range, disregarding the fact that it doesn't have Google services. Overall, I would say it's got a great camera, good display, good design, it's high quality, and the battery is incredible. That is a ginormous size battery for the size and weight of this phone. I would also say that the build quality is good. I would just note that it does pick up scratches fairly easily on the outside, and the fingerprints, they do easily show up on the back. So I would advise, as I would with most phones, to put a case on it. The camera's good. It's not the best camera, but it is very good for the price. Processor's good, and the amount of RAM you get is also a very decent amount of RAM at 3 gig. So overall, a very good phone. I would say the drawbacks for me would be the fact that do not yet have that USB Type-C converter on the bottom there, and the fact that it runs on HMS, not GMS. However, in the future, hopefully that will no longer be a drawback, and all your apps will be available on HMS. So there's my review, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about how I felt about any other parts of this phone, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll be sure to answer you. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any videos that you want to see us do, or any reviews you want to see us do, please let us know in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.